Islam is a great threat to the entire planet. You need to really do your research. I am telling you that Islam is a great threat to the entire planet. Essentially, the Quran is a type of manual for the conquest of the planet through violence and oppression. That's what it is. The problem with a lot of you is you make assumptions. You do not realize a lot of things. You need to understand that the founder of Islam was a pedophile. He had sex with children. He was a murderer and a torturer. He decapitated people. He committed all kinds of unspeakable crimes. This is the founder of this religion. And this is not me making it up. You need to do your research, because what's happening is that these people, Satan is basically programming these people to take over. And the way that they accomplish their goal is they set up enclaves. They appear as model citizens, but it is a kind of latent cancer. And one day, when these people have enough numbers and have converted enough people, they will bring about their regime, a worldwide regime based on violence. And I would not be surprised if the Catholic Church joins in with them. Remember that the Catholic Church is a whore in Scripture. And what does a whore do? She has illicit relations with someone other than her husband. And so, and plus, I have heard that the Catholic Church was instrumental in the development of Islam, but I have not done research, and I wouldn't be surprised. Also, the Greek 666 looks remarkably like In the Name of Allah Conquer. You got to see my featured video. There's a section in there where I show the Greek 666, and it's shocking. Also, we read about the beheadings that will take place as part of Revelation. All you have to do, unless you are so drugged by fluoride in the water and the food and your selfishness and your distractions, that you cannot see that this is a rising plague called Islam. All you have to see is how they treat these women. They stone the women. They rape the women, they murder, because rape is sanctioned in Islam. Well, you see, if you're a woman and you get raped in Islam, and you speak up about it, your family will kill you. It's called an honor killing. I see this Islam taking over the world through war. They're going to take over the world through war, because Iran is going to get those nuclear weapons. And remember, the leaders of this country, the American, is a sellout. You hear the American public crying now. You haven't seen crying yet. You see, what goes around comes around. What goes around comes around. Scripture says that before pride comes a fall. Meaning that the fall doesn't literally come before it, but that it comes against it, because that's what before, you know. In other words, the U.S. is going to collapse. It's going to fall. And it's going to be conquered. Because the people in this country committed many crimes and supported much criminal activity. The slavery, the genocide, the racism today, the prisons for profit. Uh, it's basically people who subscribe to whiteness and so on. So there's a lot of racism and a lot of stuff in this country. I remember when the corporations were booming back in the, I don't know, 1980s perhaps. And if you were a so-called minority like me, you could forget it, trying to get a job at a corporation, because you had to be lily white to get a job. So don't cry about the corporations now, because your forefathers were the ones who were, bloating themselves at the feeding trough of Satan. But this video is not about your forefathers and the many crimes they committed, which you're going to pay for. You're going to pay for it, because what goes around comes around. Whatever you sow, you reap. That's just the way it goes. There's no getting around it. And so, look what's happening now. Look who's in the White House. If that's not the messenger of the devil, I don't know what is. It's the scariest thing in the world. He just apologized because, you see, there's this libertarian mindset that's going on. And no, I don't parrot the word liberal like all these morons, because they listen to TV or whatever. But it's the truth that there's this mindset, right? That, live and let live or whatever. So I used to be like that myself. I used to excuse Islam because I thought, well, the people in this country have discriminated against me, and they've been racist toward the blacks and everybody else, and they killed the natives. So certainly, they cannot be trusted to do anything but evil. Support the troops, stocks in the war machine, you name it. And so I used to look the other way, because I thought that the Islamics were just, a last-ditch effort for survival. But man, these people are the spawn of Satan. The spawn of Satan. In case you haven't heard the news, recently some Qurans were destroyed, and now I find out that the people who destroyed them were Muslims themselves. And then the Muslims went and killed a bunch of people, including Americans. That's all they do, is kill people. When you get a grip, these are not isolated instances. They're killing people everywhere. In fact, if you're not a good Islamic killer, they'll kill you. They are commanded by the Quran to kill non-believers and people who are not carrying on their terrorist activity. This is a very, very horrible disease. And yes, I'm guilty too, because I used to say, and hey, look at the Muslims, they're more devout to their religion than the Christians. And that's what's scary. That's what's really scary. Because they're taking over. They start taking over, and before you know, they're moving in. And one day they're going to turn on us. Big time. I'm not condoning violence against the Muslims. But you if you're not doing something to expose truth, you're part of the problem. And you're not doing anything. You're out there with your foolishness, idolatry, and stupidity, distractions, and serious business is taking place here, and you're going to pay. We need to bring Islam to the attention of individuals, that this is not a righteous religion. This is a satanic religion. If you watch my feature video, and you can bear with it because it's a video based on my I wouldn't say belief, knowledge of the Creator, but in it you'll see quotes from the Quran which are violent and advocate murder and all kinds of stuff. It's just horrible. And they're killing people all over the place. They dismember people, they rape, they They stone women. If it's evil, you name it, they're doing it. But they do it under the guise of righteousness, and that they're doing it for God. Imagine that. And I believe there's a good possibility that there's going to be a phony spiritual figure appear, but with miraculous power. You know, you hear these people saying that the UFOs are fake, or there's going to be a fake alien invasion. There doesn't have to be a fake alien invasion. These demon aliens exist. These demons, aliens are demons. They exist. They exist. I'm telling you, just because you haven't seen it, you don't know it, doesn't matter. They exist. They're running things. They don't even consider us worthwhile. They're running things. They're superior entities in many ways. And they're all over the place. The world is crawling with them. There's a particular species of demon that sometimes to the eye of the beholder appears a black shadow. Those guys are responsible for emotional negativity like hatred and so on. They will possess people. I believe these Muslims are being possessed by them. I'm telling you people, it's really late in the game. If you're not speaking up, if you're not doing something, if you haven't been doing anything, you're going to have, and I say this figuratively, you're going to have hell to pay. Not only here on earth, but when the Creator gets a hold of you. Because He said, what did you do with the talents I gave you? What did you do? So instead of advocating violence, I am not here to advocate violence, because you can't fight fire with fire. The antidote to demonic energy is love. Find one of these Muslims. Teach them about the love of Yahusha. By the way, and they say, well, who is Yahusha? Case in point. This is why largely Christians will not inherit the kingdom of the Creator, because Jesus was not His name. His name was Yahusha. Yahusha. That's His name in Hebrew. He was Hebrew. He was not English or Greek. Of course, to Christians, that doesn't make any difference, because they could care less what the name of the Creator or His Son is. They don't care. But those that do care out there, I urge you, do something. Put up some videos. Try to get these Muslims to realize that Satan has them under a spell, because they're going to take over the world. Iran is building nuclear weapons, and it looks like the boy with the man in the White House is on their side. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. Well, anyway, I just wanted to say, all esteem and honor to the Creator, Yahweh, also known as Ehyeh, Asher, Ehyeh, also known as Ishi and Abba. That's right, Christians. Those are the Hebrew names of the one you call God. Every time you call Him God, you are breaking the commandment, because they fooled you with the King James Version. The King James Version of the Bible seems to have been orchestrated by Satan himself. You have to understand, the King James Version of the Bible is English. The language of Scripture is Hebrew. No, Hebrew is not Jewish. This is your delusion. Every time you call Him God, you are bringing His name to ruin, to nothing, to insignificance. It doesn't say, do not take His name in vain. On the contrary, He wants you to use His name. But you wouldn't understand, because you're reading a mistranslation. Anyway, please, if you're not helping the situation, you're part of the problem.